There has never been a better time than now to come join the Bellisio Foods team. Bellisio has a new contract in place with plenty of awesome perks for their employees. From increased wages, access to the free health clinic, vacation after 6 months, and much more, Bellisio Foods is committed to putting their employees first. For more information or to apply, visit BellisioFoods.com/careers. Take advantage of these great new employee benefits and join the Bellisio team today. Visit BellisioFoods.com/careers to learn more. Never have our community heroes been more worthy of recognition than today, and Wendy's is here to show thanks for all they do with a free breakfast for a year giveaway. Starting Monday, November 15th through December 9th, we want you to nominate the individuals you feel have gone above and beyond. Just go to yourtotalmedia.com/communityheroes and give us a line or two about why someone you know deserves free Wendy's breakfast for a year as part of Wendy's Thank You Thursdays campaign throughout this holiday season. That's right, our community heroes have the opportunity to win free breakfast for a year from Wendy's, which includes a delicious breakfast combo. We'll select a community hero every week on Thursday, and you'll hear their inspiring stories on the air. You can nominate anyone who's made an impact in our community. Wendy's wants to reward our dedicated and hardworking individuals because these heroes have kept our communities together and running. Make your nomination today at yourtotalmedia.com/communityheroes, and Wendy's will be providing free breakfast for a year to those deserving individuals. Ho, ho, ho! What's everyone want for Christmas this year?
All Christmas music all day!
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Christmas Eve edition of the morning show right here on Main Street TV.
The Festivus edition.
It's the Festivus edition, and James can tell you all about Festivus here in a minute. Do you know what Festivus is?
You don't have to tell me.
Are you a Seinfeld watcher?
I have not watched a single episode of Seinfeld in my life.
Gotcha.
I know
Okay.
I've missed a lot.
I didn't watch a lot of it either, so don't feel bad about that.
It was in that bracket there where I didn't watch any TV.
Yeah, or you were busy working and
Right.
whatnot.
That kind of thing.
But no, so it is Christmas Eve. James has a very, very cool shirt on today, and we'll show you that here in just a moment. And I forgot to wear my Christmas balls sweater.
I had a real ugly sweater, but I don't fit into it anymore, so I couldn't wear it. And see, when I'll tell you, at the time I bought it and when I was wearing it, I didn't think it was a quote ugly Christmas sweater. I thought it was a cool sweater. That's how off I am on the fashion.
Pete, I just want to say that there's never ever in the world been cool and Christmas sweater in the same sentence.
Okay, all right. Well, this one had reindeers on it.
Ooh, I like that.
And they were smiling.
Oh, smiling reindeer?
Yeah. You look down there, you're happy.
Yay!
The reindeer are happy. You're happy.
Yes, that's right. Well, they're just happy when Christmas is over, I think. They can rest,
Right.
the reindeer. But anyway, so you are here. We have some news this morning to report.
We do. Actually, we've got a lot of news out of the city of Jackson. The police department was very busy here in the last 2 or 3 days.
Uh-oh.
So we have some different stories to report there. First of all, you may remember on an earlier report, the last 2 times I was here, we talked about William Reitzel II, who had escaped from the municipal court a week ago. It was actually a week ago today. On Thursday.
There he is.
Yes, there he is right there. And we'll tell you why we have his picture up. It wasn't just because of what happened last Thursday. But last Thursday, to start the story, he was in the municipal court. He was scheduled for a hearing, and he had new charges filed against him. And it was the ones where you weren't going to walk back out of the court. You were going to be incarcerated, at least temporarily. Well, he didn't want to be incarcerated.
Don't blame him.
And he ran out of the courtroom, and they ran after him. Okay.
Oh boy.
And
Yes, he didn't get far.
No, this is at 295 Broadway, or right behind the courthouse. Ran out of there, ran down towards Water Street, then on West Main, and they were after him. he jumped into Salt Lick Creek.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did. Right.
Where do you think he was going to go?
A week ago Thursday. They didn't jump in after him. All right.
Don't blame him.
And he was able to get away. I mean, they looked on both sides of the creek. They looked the rest of the afternoon, but he successfully escaped.
Okay.
All right. So I think we mentioned.
I think being in the Salt Lick.
That was wrong.
Right,
No, I think being in the Salt Lick Creek is punishment enough, Pete.
Right.
I've seen the stuff that's in that creek. But anyway, go ahead.
Right. And then the hypothermia issue, is there
it
too.
is a little cold.
But yeah, because there's some water there in that creek.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think I reported at the beginning of the week, not knowing all the details of how, but we reported that he was back in custody.
Okay.
All right. And so, we had posted the picture on Facebook. Hey, look out for this guy. The municipal court had don't worry about it anywhere. He's in custody.
Right.
Well, I followed up to find out how it was that he got back in custody. That's the
Okay.
second part and the biggest part of the story on Saturday. Okay, we go forward to about 6 p.m. on Saturday.
Okay.
And a caller calls into the Jackson Police Department, and they see a male walking along Huron Street, about in front of the Save-A-Lot store down there. And he's stumbling and looks like, this guy, is hurting. He could be drunk. He could be
Frozen.
he could be under the influence of drugs, but
Yeah.
he doesn't seem quite right.
Yeah.
So the police checked it out. And as they approached this male, who did turn out to be William Reitzel, by the way, at the time
Really?
they didn't know that at
Okay.
the first, of course. When they tried to talk to him, and he realized then he kind of became more aroused. He took off, of course, because the same reason he took off from the courtroom.
He's a runner.
All right, and two of the police officers were catching him, and one of the female police officers caught up to him, grabbed him, and he was able to pull away from her, and she chased him again. And when she caught him the second time, he pulled away, and this time he pulled around into a fighting stance, and he pushed her and hit her in the chest. Okay?
William.
Right, he did that. And so he had her, he was able to free himself a second time, ran some more. There was another police officer with the female police officer as well. They were able, they tased him, he fell to the ground. He was able to get up after being tased. Sometimes, it has no effect on you. Sometimes, you're done when you get tased. Well, he was able, after collapsing on the ground, to get up before they were able to get him, and ran down a couple blocks past the Hillcrest Pool or whatever. But they caught up to him. Both of the officers were able to detain him and put him into custody. When they put him in the cruiser, he kind of collapsed a little bit and started to snore. And that is an indication of drug use, actually, that you may be overdosing or whatever. And so they called EMS, and they had to use Narcan, 2 doses of Narcan to bring him back. And they sent him out to Holzer Medical Center, Jackson, for treatment, and he was able to be cleared and released and was incarcerated. Before they sent him out there, for the safety of the EMS workers or whatever, and also because, he certainly had run from the police, so already he's going to be in trouble for that alone.
Sure.
They checked out his person, his pockets, and whatever, and there was a clear substance in a Ziploc bag that they believe was fentanyl. And also a marijuana cigarette to boot, which they probably didn't care a whole lot about.
I don't think anybody cares about
But
that.
there was a clear substance that hadn't been tested yet, but they're pretty sure that it was fentanyl, and that he was probably maybe under the influence of fentanyl. So Reitzel now in custody, and he faces at least these charges. He faces a charge of escape from the county for running from the court.
Sure.
Then there were all those charges on the front end that I don't know exactly what they were, but he was in trouble before. But from the police episode on Saturday night.
Assaulting a police officer? Not good,
you're
buddy.
guessing correctly. Possession of drugs, probably Schedule 1 or 2 drugs, which is serious.
Oh, boy.
Resisting arrest, which I think you can make a case for. And assault of a police officer, possession of drug paraphernalia, disorderly conduct by intoxication. So a series of felonies and misdemeanors that he faces. And he'll probably be indicted by the grand jury formally, but he is being held on several of those charges right now. So that's the William Reitzel.
Wow, that's like a long story, Pete.
Right. Well, there was another incident that happened on Tuesday evening, about just before 7 o'clock, exactly 6:02 p.m. to be exact. No, 6:44 p.m. to be exact, in downtown Jackson. The police pulled up behind a car, a large a sedan.
'Tis the season.
Right, and the trunk lid was open.
Okay.
All right, well, two things. You want to tell the driver that your trunk lid's open in case you don't know, but also that is technically against the law because you can't see the license plate. You're concealing the license and your registration.
Okay.
You know, if you're doing that on purpose, you're probably not doing it on purpose, but it's still against the law technically. So they try to effect a traffic stop there, and a policeman gets out of the car, and the driver decides he doesn't want to be told that his trunk lid is open, and he takes off. Now, this is at the corner of Portsmouth and Main, near your restaurant, of course.
Yeah.
And he turns right on Main Street, and he's taken off. When he gets past the courthouse and on the next block, we're close to our old Total Media building. In front of the VFW, he hits a parked pickup truck with his sedan. He backs away from that, continues on, and, you know, the police are starting to follow. But there never was a real pursuit. But, you know, they see where this vehicle's going. Well, it goes farther down Main Street, goes off the road again into the shrubbery in front of the Hubbard Daniels accounting office, the former Milton Bank.
They just did that.
I know, at the corner. Well, take a good look at the edge of the shrubbery there next time you drive by. This is at the corner of Harding and Main. Okay, but this is only the start. Goes through the shrubbery into the lot of Lone Central, which is right next door. Goes through the parking lot there into the side of the building at Monroe Collision. All right?
That's convenient.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. They need a lot of body work now. But seriously, backs away from that, and in the action of backing up and straightening up the car because he thinks the police are after him or whatever, he hits a couple of the parked vehicles in the Monroe Collision lot that are probably there to get body work.
Get fixed.
All right?
No.
So he hits both of those and then backs away from that into the other side of the Lone Central building. Hits the side of the Lone Central building. So we've got three vehicles that are hit. And two buildings. All right, he is able to drive away from that.
I need to know what kind of car he's driving that it's still going at this point.
Okay. I'll tell you what it is.
That's the safest vehicle in the world.
It is a 2002 Buick Park Avenue.
All right, everybody should be driving one of those.
I don't know whether you can get those anymore.
I don't know.
Okay, but anyway, he goes out the back there, down that alley behind Lone Central and Monroe Collision.
Okay.
And down that alley towards Harding Avenue, turns on Harding Avenue there.
Okay.
And then towards Veterans Drive. He is intending to turn on Veterans Drive, hoping he is still able to avoid the police who are coming, but not chasing, but they know about where he is. Because this all takes place in about 5 minutes. So he turns on to Veterans Drive. Well, guess what? He misses the intersection at Veterans Drive and turns onto the railroad tracks there. Right. And the police do not know whether he was stuck on the railroad tracks or he just gave up. But they approach, and his car is on the railroad tracks. Well, of course, what is he going to do? He gets out of the car and starts running.
And he jumps into the creek.
No, he doesn't jump into the creek. There's a creek nearby, but no. One of the police officers, he doesn't get very far, tackles him and brings him into custody. Okay, that gentleman who is the suspect here, I guess not a suspect because we know it was him, Timothy Brian Call, age 44, of Walter Street in Jackson. He has been charged with failure to comply, 2 counts of leaving the scene of an accident, 2 counts of operating a vehicle while intoxicated, and 1 count of failure to display a license plate. Those are the initial charges, at least. And this is all speculative. I can't say this for sure. The police can't say this for sure. But likely the reason that he fled from, and the police officer told me this wasn't in the report. They were just going to tell him that his trunk lid was up. They weren't going to do
anything.
They weren't going to do a technical citation because, he couldn't see the license plate.
Yeah.
They are now because he was uncooperative.
Dude, just close your trunk lid, man.
Right.
That's all you had to do.
That's all that they were trying to do. But they speculate that the reason he ran, he didn't have any warrants. they speculate that the reason that he took off was because he was indeed, as tests proved later, intoxicated, and figured that he's going to be in a lot of trouble for the OVI citation.
Yeah.
But he's in a lot more trouble now
A
for
lot more
all
trouble.
that happened there. And I noticed when I drove by yesterday, the Monroe Collision lot, they have cleaned out that parking lot there. There's no other vehicles parked there.
No.
And so I don't know whether, there'll be more business for Monroe. What would really be ironic and almost tragic if you're one of those car owners, what if you had your car in for body work and it was parked there because it had been serviced already?
I know. And right back to it again.
Right.
Wow.
But anyway,
no.
all that happened in about a 5-minute period in downtown Jackson on Tuesday evening, if you didn't know.
Well, no one, I guess, evidently, we don't want the police in Jackson to be bored.
No, that's right. That's right. But we do appreciate the officers. We appreciate Interim Chief Brent Hinch.
Yes.
They made all this information available to me.
Yeah.
It all started when I was trying to get extra information on Reitzel. And then they told me, oh, by the way, we had a pursuit tonight. And that was not the right word to use, but
Yes.
Another
incident.
a situation with a fleeing vehicle. And then I had already heard, this is the third story, I had already heard that they rescued a trapped teenager earlier that afternoon, the same afternoon, Tuesday afternoon.
What?
Had you heard about that?
No.
It didn't turn out to be a serious thing, but at the time, it was a concern. This happened at 3:56 p.m. on Tuesday. Police and fire and EMS were called to a wooded area on the north side of town between Mitchell Street and Vine Street. All right, between Mitchell and Vine.
Yeah. Used to play in those woods over there.
There's woods over there.
Yeah.
You are right. Well, there was a young man, 15-year-old Michael Moore III, who lives on Vine Street. He and I'm not sure whether there was a buddy with him, but there was a buddy nearby who knew that this happened at least. But he was climbing that hillside, and on that hillside, don't ask me why, there's a bunch of old concrete there. Big slabs of concrete there that were probably left there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a structure there or whatever, but it was just, it's been there for a long time. Well, he was climbing up the hillside on this concrete, and one of the large pieces of concrete slid on him, and he fell to the ground, and when he fell to the ground, that slab of concrete got on his legs, and it was so big, so heavy that his legs, he could not free his legs one of his legs, and he was also in great pain, concerned that maybe one of those or his leg was broken, and of course he's not going anywhere, he's trapped. So he calls for his buddy, and they call the police. And the police go over there, and this is about 50 to 100 yards off the street, and it's a very steep wooded hillside. You just can't drive up there or anything. You can't get an EMS ambulance up there. You can't get a lot of equipment up there either very easily. And, they're concerned, they see a laceration across his back or whatever. They don't see that he's bleeding, but he's yelling and in great pain, 15 years old. So the police are there. The fire department were there. EMS came just a little later to assist as well when they saw that the boy was hurt.
Wow.
But the police officer that was there, and that would be I want to make sure I have this name right. That would be Patrolman Thomas King. He's one of the new officers there at the police department. Good guy. He decided that they had to take a chance because, you don't want to drop that concrete on that kid.
Correct.
They decided, him and the boy and one other person, I think a firefighter, attempted to lift the concrete and hope that the boy could get his leg out real quickly if they could hold the concrete up long enough for that to happen. They did. It was a struggle, but the boy was able to free his leg or legs. I'm not sure whether both legs were trapped in one, but one was definitely injured. They were able to get his legs out of there. He still couldn't walk. They were able to get what they call a Stokes basket up there. That is a conveyance that they use where, it's kind of like a hammock almost, and you're able to transport somebody lightly without a gurney or anything like that. You do that from some accident sites, that are in rough terrain. They were able to get him down the hill with a Stokes basket, send him off to Holzer Medical Center at Jackson Hospital, let his mom know what happened. But the last thing I heard was his leg was not broken, and he did have the laceration on the neck, probably has some pretty heavy-duty bruises, but he is going to be okay.
So fortunate.
But at the time,
That could have been way
right,
worse.
kind of a freaky type accident
Yeah.
there, because I mean, he wasn't being irresponsible or anything. He just, the concrete gave way, and it just so happened that he fell down the
Wow.
hill, and the concrete came down and trapped him there for a little while. All that this past week that the Jackson Police Department has dealt with. So, wow.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Yikes.
we got a very important information, Jennifer, from the Jackson County Health Department, of course, on COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
They put this information out on Tuesday, by the way, very newsy day, Tuesday.
Tuesday was busy.
Right. And we've got it posted on our website. It's also on Facebook, but it's how they're going to handle notification when they learn that somebody here in Jackson County has COVID. There has been, as you know, from our reports, a lot of cases happening
Excuse me.
on COVID-19 the last several weeks, the last couple of months, as a
Yes.
matter of fact. Kevin Aston, the Jackson County Health Commissioner, is anticipating, because of the virulity of the Omicron variant, a lot of people, they're not maybe getting, all of them aren't getting very sick, but they're getting sick.
Yep.
That there's going to be more cases these next several weeks with the holidays and all like that. So what they have done in the past is, when you get COVID-19 and let them know that, or they find out that you have COVID-19, they get on the phone with you and they tell you what you need to do and they answer your questions. They're afraid that there's so many people now that that's going to happen with, that they're going to do notification a different way. It's going to be by email. All right.
Okay.
Here is exactly what Kevin Aston says. To manage the caseload, the Jackson County Health Department is changing the process it follows when a case of COVID is reported. Instead of a phone call to that person who tested positive, the health department will now send a letter. I was wrong, it wasn't an email, it's a letter, because not everybody does computers. It's sending a letter to the person's address with instructions about what to do, and the person will have the option then to call the health department. You can still do that if you have any questions.
Okay.
But they hope to expedite some of the notification process with a letter rather than a phone call. Instructions about what to do when a person tests positive for COVID or is exposed to COVID have been publicized in the past, but they bear repeating as often as it takes for people to learn and follow the safest course of action. If you are sick and think or know you have COVID-19, stay home until at least 10 days since symptoms first appeared. Additionally, stay home at least 24 hours if you have no fever present without the use of fever-reducing medications and once symptoms have improved. If you have tested positive for COVID-19 but do not have symptoms, it's the same for you. You should stay home 10 days have passed after your positive test. If you develop symptoms after testing positive, follow the steps we mentioned before for those who are sick. So, all the old rules are still in place.
Sure.
Even though there's a lot more cases. If you have tested positive or you think you may have COVID-19, you have to act as if you did. And I know that's a hard thing to do.
It is.
And, we talked about this off the air before we came on. This is an issue nationally. I assume it is locally as well. It's just not easy to get automatic testing, and some people don't know what to do when they do get testing. Maybe they're afraid to see if they're got COVID-19.
Well, you are, and it's kind of like, but you can't ignore it either, because you either do or you don't. And if you do, you need to do the responsible thing and stay home.
Right, exactly. Now, some people are asymptomatic, of course, that's the trickiest of all. But, the symptoms, they can be very much like the flu and the cold, but ones that the health department say to look for particularly are if you have even a low-grade fever, shortness of breath, coughing, you're having some respiratory problems. These are the main symptoms of COVID-19, and it can certainly vary. It is so tricky out there. Like, for instance, I read one internet story, Jennifer, that how can you tell a cold from COVID? Well, you really can't. Absolutely.
And that's the thing is there are so many different symptoms that, and they're saying now with the Omicron variant, a lot of people aren't losing their taste and smell. Like, losing your taste and smell is
that's not
huge.
the only litmus test. Now, obviously, if you do lose taste and smell, that is a real red flag.
That's a huge red flag, because
Right.
nothing else does that to you.
But here's what they said on the Omicron. This is one thing I read. This was interesting. because, cold, you often get a sore throat, right?
Right.
Okay, with the Omicron, you usually get, have throat problems too, but there's a difference. If your throat is sore, that's probably a cold. If it's scratchy, that's probably Omicron.
Oh.
And it's never 100%. That's not like, you can go to the.
Listen, just go get tested.
That is obviously the safest thing you can do. And they're saying the same thing here at 200 East Main Street, the health department, as they're saying at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate.
Yep.
That is the best thing that you can do. And everybody in this politically charged atmosphere is saying vaccinate. The question is, if you don't want to vaccinate, should you have to? That debate roars on.
It continues on, yes.
Right, exactly. I wouldn't know, honestly, why you wouldn't want to. I'll have to say that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. To each his own.
Okay.
Do your thing, man.
All right. Well, we do have some positive news to report out of the Jackson County Courthouse Annex, where the county commissioners hang out.
Okay.
Earlier this week, they approved their two budgets, the non-general fund budget and the general fund budget. The general fund budget is the one that you hear the most about. It's the one that funds most of the county offices in the courthouse, the sheriff's office, et cetera, all the courts. Their budget this year for the county is up $300,000 over last year. The figures on the general fund budget, $6,764,000 versus $6,492,000 last year. So almost $300,000 more.
Nice.
And I am sure that part of the reason is the money that the county has received in COVID-19 relief. At first, it was pretty tight on how you could use that money. It was almost like, buy masks and things directly.
Health stuff.
Now, those guidelines on how you can use it, because, there are indirect effects that have come from COVID-19 have been financially adverse. You can use it. You can use it to pay people who have certain jobs where they deal with the public. Hey, that you're dealing with the COVID-19 threat there. So the money that has come in, they didn't say this, but I'll say it. The money that has come in from the COVID-19 relief, the different acts of Congress or whatever that have happened, that has helped local governments a lot. Not only with some infrastructure projects that you were hearing about that money coming in, but it's also helped with their operations too. Because they don't have to certain things they don't have to fund with their own money anymore, because they have the federal / state money coming in as well. But how is the budget different other than the amounts? They have funded much more money into sheriff's office and extension this year. Those are the two places that got a lot more money than last year. The sheriff's office, for instance, their budget has gone up from $715,000 this year to $857,000 in 2022. I have not talked to Sheriff Ted Frazier yet, but I'm guessing personnel.
Yeah, for sure.
This will help with personnel, maybe another deputy or two. This is just me speculating, but I know that is a need there. You may be surprised, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, personnel-wise, number of deputies is below the average mark in southeastern Ohio. For instance, Pike County Sheriff's Office, a lot more staff than the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, and that's a slightly smaller county. Vinton County, less than half the size, has more deputies than what Jackson County does. So at least that's the way it was the last time I checked. It wasn't really that close. So this has been known for some time. The commissioners in past years have never said that there wasn't a need to support law enforcement, just the money wasn't there to do it. And the sheriff's office obviously is a big ticket item. One of the, personnel-wise, one of the largest departments in the county,
for sure.
Even though it's admittedly underfunded or has been underfunded in the past. So that was one area. The second area is extension office. And what they're going to be able to do, and this will be formally announced early in the year, but they did let the cat out of the bag on how some of this extra money will be used. How much extra money? They are going from $32,000 this year to $119,000.
Wow.
Next year. And the big thing they're going to do, Jennifer, you and I are old enough to remember this. Remember Dave Samples?
I do.
The ag agent?
Yes.
Well, he was our last full-time ag agent. We have Erin Deal Daly, but she's got a long title, but she's mainly 4-H, all right?
Yes.
There hasn't been anybody to do the agriculture agent stuff. They are going to hire a full-time agriculture agent, educator, whatever they call them, and that person should be hired by March the 1st. That's the target. So that is the big change. Those are the two big changes in the county budget. And another thing they were able to do, as far as across the board, this has been a common practice. The office holders make their requests, and the commissioners have routinely said, we can't fund that much. We're going to give you this and this and this. I don't know whether it's a percentage across the board thing or they've tried to make judgments on each office what they think they can afford and what they need. This year, they funded the requests of the office holders. They trusted them to tell them what they needed. Now, what they're not going to do this year is what they had happen in past years is the office holders who felt like they didn't have all the money they needed, they would come to the commissioners in the middle of the year, at the end of the year, and says, hey, I'm running short.
Yeah.
Can you bail me out? Well, this year, 2022, the plan is to give them what they need, but please don't come to me in the middle of the year
don't ask for anything else.
Asking for more money, because my understanding is they gave them what they asked for.
Okay.
So those are some of the highlights of the 2002 county budget. And, it's numbers and it may seem boring, but those numbers are what fuels the county and services and programs and personnel. So we'll have that story out in our one of our next two papers for sure. Phil Buffington did a good job running that information down, our associate editor. All right. You remember, Jennifer, we talked about how there is a vacancy now on Jackson City Council.
Mm-hmm.
Debbie Biggs announced her resignation at the December 13th Jackson City Council meeting. She actually announced it earlier, but it was also announced at the December 13th Jackson City Council meeting. She will be resigning her third ward council seat at the end of the year. She was elected in the November general election to another 2-year term. Mm-hmm. Justin Lovett, who is the Jackson County prosecuting attorney, but in this regard, he's also the chairman of the Central Committee of the Jackson County Republican Party. He has scheduled a meeting for Tuesday, January the 4th at the Jackson County Juvenile Courtroom, and this will be the meeting to pick Debbie's replacement. Of course, you need to live in the third ward.
Yeah.
You need to be an elector, which means you're a registered voter, and you need to be a Republican because Debbie Biggs was a Republican. She was elected as a Republican. So if you're interested, what you need to do is be present at the meeting. That's one way. That's at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 24th in the juvenile courtroom.
Okay.
And that is at the Jackson County Correctional Facility
right
building. That is
right beside the sheriff's
That's where the
office.
Republicans committees usually have their meetings. Any qualified person can be present at the meeting, or they can inform the party secretary, Debbie Canner, by phone. Her number is 740-688-1604. Once again, 740-688-1604, and tell her verbally of his or her interest in that position. Any qualified person seeking the vacancy and attending the meeting will have the opportunity to talk. They can also turn in their references and qualifications if they want the committee to know. This will be a decision made by what they call the City Caucus of the Jackson County Central Committee.
Okay.
That is the Central Committee members who represent precincts in the city of Jackson. It will be their decision. So we'll see what happens on that. But anyway, the vacancy on the third ward should be very short-lived because they'll be picking somebody at the January 4 meeting. I'm not sure whether they'll be able to serve at the very first council meeting of the year, but it should certainly be before the end of the month. All right, we want to report some money, another good news story. The Jackson County Community Foundation. Have you heard of that, Jennifer?
No.
Well, it is a wing of the Foundation of Appalachia, Ohio. That is a charitable organization from the private sector. You can do donations to it, and then they try to use the money in a positive way. The Jackson County Community Foundation was formed several years ago. I remember when that happened. But, you can make funding to it, you can endow it, and then they find ways to use their money, to use money in a positive way. Not too long ago, they announced 4 grants here for local projects in Jackson County. $500 to the Jackson City Library for what they call the Makerspace program. This is an area for patrons to create items and build curiosity in areas such as science and engineering while being a resource for science projects. The city of Jackson received $4,820 for an upgrade of the skate park at Hillcrest Park and Pool.
Cool.
All right, we'll say a little bit more about that later. The city of Wellston has received $4,633 for the Downtown Outdoor Accessories Project. This will purchase benches, picnic tables, outdoor message centers, and more for the Downtown Historic District. As you know, the Wellston Main Street organization, which is private sector, they've been working 5 to 7 years now to improve things in the Historic District, get new businesses down there, support the businesses that are down there, try to revive the Historic District in Wellston, along High Avenue there. This will help that ongoing effort. Also, $2,000 rather for God's Hands at Work. This is a mobile food pantry project. I'm not familiar with God's Hands at Work. Are you?
No.
Well, that is an effort that obviously is out there. They do a mobile food pantry, or they're going to do a mobile food pantry, and this will be seed money to help them do that. So That's the Jackson County Community Foundation. A lot of people do not know a whole lot about that, but the Jackson County Community Foundation is working to meet pressing needs while pursuing exciting opportunities for Jackson County's people and communities. If you are interested in learning more or making a gift to support the foundation, you can learn about it on the website of the Foundation of Appalachia, Ohio at www.appalachiaohio.org/Jackson. There is a link on there for the Jackson County Community Foundation. Donations made now will be matched dollar for dollar by the Foundation for Appalachia, Ohio. So this is another way to support charitable worthy projects in Jackson, the Jackson County Community Foundation. We'll have that article in an upcoming issue, and you can see firsthand the details that I just kind of explained there. All right, I told you about the Hillcrest Park upgrade. There's a neat story involved with that.
Yeah.
There is a skate park up there at Hillcrest. I don't know how long ago they put it up there, 10 years or so.
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
been a while.
All right. Well, anyway, it had fallen into disrepair a little bit, but skateboarders used this. But it all started when a group of Northview Elementary students, three young men, they were in when this all started. They were fifth graders at Northview. They're now sixth graders at Jackson Middle School. But anyway, those three students are Reed Fain, Carson Strickland, and Harley Harrison. They wrote a letter, to the city of Jackson officials, the administration, suggesting improvements to the skate park at Hillcrest. Hey, listen.
Hey, you don't get the sale unless you ask.
No, we're skateboarders. What can you do about this?
Right.
All right. Tracy Plants is one of the new administrators at the city of Jackson. In the city's reorganization, their structure. She's on Randy Evans' staff. She is the director of project management. And she has been tasked with, managing projects and also seeking grant funding for projects.
Okay.
Big infrastructure projects like the city has received funding for, and smaller things like this. Well, she made a grant application to the Foundation for Appalachia, Ohio. We just talked about those series of grants.
Yes.
What she did was she included the letter from those boys.
Okay.
And that probably helped the application. They were sure that it did. As a matter of fact, the boys were asked to come to a Jackson City Council meeting for recognition. And
So
there they are.
cute.
There's Jackson Mayor Randy Evans on the left. That's Reed Fain next to Randy, and then Carson Strickland next to Reed. And on the end, that is Tracy Plants, the Director of Project Management for the city. And Mayor Evans wanted to congratulate the boys for getting civically involved and going through the democratic governmental process to try to make it work. You just don't post on Facebook, doggone it, that skate park needs more work or whatever, and complain that the city needs to do more or whatever. They went directly made a civil request, and the city
Love that.
The city tried to respond to that. And one of the things that's going to happen with that money, and the city will put some money with the foundation money as well, is that they are going to have, and I don't know a whole lot about this, but they're going to put more small ramps in.
Okay.
Not big ramps, small ramps. That's what the kids want.
All right.
So that will happen sometime in 2022. I'm guessing it'll happen before the weather gets warm again.
Awesome.
So that is a good message for all the kids out there and all the adults out there, rather than just, complain or say, why don't they do this?
Hey, ask for
democracy can't work unless you do. That's how it
Yep.
all starts. So congratulations to those boys. Congratulations to Tracy Plants. And kudos to Mayor Evans for bringing it to the public's attention at the council meeting, and that allowed us to write a story about it. All right. We also want to report another key thing that happened for the Jackson City Library. The Jackson City Library has got a new van that is going to help with its outreach program.
Okay.
And here is a picture that kind of represents that. This was taken out at Porter Ford. And the reason it's taken out there is that is where the library bought the van.
Okay.
And they are appreciative to Porter Ford because Porter Ford gave them one hell of a deal. All right?
Nice.
So this picture is about acknowledging that the library now has a new van that they can use for outreach programs. That's bringing the library to you as opposed to you coming to the library.
That's awesome.
Right, exactly. Dan Morrow, who was in the car business,
Yep.
he is also on the library board, has been for a long time. So he was
Uh-huh.
there representing the library. And then the next young lady in the picture is Melissa Clark, who is a sales representative out there at Porter Ford. Then you have Roger Donaldson, the library director, who
Yes.
is delighted that they got the van and they got it at a great price. And then general manager Shane Porter.
Okay.
That is Mark Porter's son. He is the general manager out there at Porter Ford. And then you have Brad Burnside. A lot of folks know him in
Yeah.
town. He is the sales manager out there at Porter Ford. But anyway, this new van, it was awarded by the State Library of Ohio. The Jackson City Library was able to purchase it. And this new van will serve the patrons better. It was no cost to the taxpayers. This wasn't out of any city money or anything, or even out of the library's tax money.
Nice.
They were just able to get this funding from the state library services, and they were able to get the van because of a great price provided by Porter Ford. But this van will support the library's many community outreach programs by allowing them to reach more patrons in Jackson and the surrounding areas. Pop-up libraries, the summer reading program. They can be mobile with some of the things that the library has had to do in-house before. They'll be doing things out at Manpower Park. They consider that a congregation area.
Yeah, that's
And another
so
side
good.
thing that you don't think about, they feel that this is a good COVID-19 thing because, smaller groups in remote places away from the library as opposed to 50 people coming in for a program at the library.
Sure.
So anyway, that story will be in our paper as well. We want to welcome to town a new pastor at the First Baptist Church. Seth Phelan
Okay.
is the new
Hi,
pastor,
Seth.
and there he is. And I know that he will be preaching at a Christmas Eve service on Friday evening. So
That's tomorrow, isn't it?
that's exactly right. They've got that on their board. But the Seth Phelan comes to the First Baptist Church. I know he replaces Pastor Tim Keaton, who was there for a while. But Seth Phelan comes from the Belpre Baptist Church, and he has been there for a couple months now. We've got a story in our Saturday paper about him and some of the things he says about the job and what he wants to do there. But he would like to do more outreach with the First Baptist Church of Jackson. He wants everybody to try out the church if they're looking for a church home. The church has services Sunday at 9:30 and 10:30 a.m. and also Wednesday at 6 p.m. It's located at 35 Broadway Street, right by the Jackson City Library building, of course.
Okay.
So congratulations and welcome, Seth Phelan. All right. We also want to tell you, Jennifer, that the Vinton County Commissioners at their meeting last Tuesday, more news on Tuesday, got good news from the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service honored the Vinton County Emergency Management Agency and by extension the county by proclaiming them, designating Vinton County as a storm-ready community. This is because of the efforts of the Vinton County Emergency Management Agency to make the residents and the public more aware of severe weather and the threat of severe weather. Now, to be a storm-ready community, here's what you have to do. A community must have a 24-hour warning point and emergency operations center, and that is the sheriff's office, the 911 center. So
Okay.
they have that. They have to have more than one way to receive severe weather warnings. And I know that they have an alert system that they use via telephone and text message in Vinton County. They also have tornado sirens in some of the communities in Vinton County. Also, they have to create a system that monitors weather conditions locally. They have to promote the importance of public readiness through community seminars, develop a formal hazardous weather plan, which includes training, severe weather spotters, and holding emergency exercises. Vinton County Emergency Management Agency, and that is a one-person operation. William Fott, he has done all that. So
Wow.
Congratulations to him. The Vinton County Commissioners were proud to entertain a visit from the National Weather Service, what they call him, the National Weather Service meteorologist in charge from Charleston, West Virginia. He actually came to the Vinton County Commissioners meeting on Tuesday to proclaim that they are a storm-ready community in Vinton County. Okay, it is the weekend, Jennifer, and some people do want to make merry, of course, all right?
Okay.
Well, the Highway Patrol is urging us to, if we do that, to drive sober over the holidays because they're going to be watching.
That's right.
We got this word from Mr. Morgan, the post commander out at the Jackson post of the Highway Patrol.
They'll be watching you.
In 2020, sad statistics, but they're true, the number of citations, the number of injuries, the number of deaths, alcohol-related, go up over the holidays.
Sure.
It's just not New Year's, it's Christmas too, because kind of like, you get off for Christmas Eve or whatever, there's a little bit of period in there to celebrate a little bit before the Christmas holiday. Is that right? Some people do that?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
A lot
Well,
of people do that.
In 2020, there were 10 fatal crashes which killed 12 people during the 4-day holiday. That's statewide. Of the 10 fatalities in which safety belts were available, 9 were unbelted. So people aren't thinking to put their seat belts on. Also, 4 of the crashes were speed and OVI related.
Okay.
So 33%. They do expect more travel. AAA is also expecting more travel this weekend in spite of the higher gas prices. And so they wanted to put out this advisory. During last year's reporting period, the patrol made 145 arrests for OVI. That period ran December 24th through 27th. This year's reporting period is December 23 through Sunday, December 26th. This is the key period for Christmas that they'll be watching. I'm sure they're also going to be watching same advisories and concerns, cautionary warnings for the New Year's holiday, which is our next weekend. But one of the things that you can do, and you've heard this so often, you see it in the Budweiser commercials even, designate a sober driver. Is
That's
that
right.
so hard to do?
Well, shouldn't be now.
No, it shouldn't. Now, get your sober friend, if you can find one,
Yep.
to take you home.
It's just unfortunate when our area, where we live is amazing and we love it so much. But, when you don't have the Ubers and the cabs and whatever, you do have to make special arrangements for that.
Right. There,
if you're going to go out.
Because there really isn't public transportation.
No.
We talked about Jackson transportation. And it's not, I won't say that it's impossible to arrange something, but that's not what they're set up to do. It's the special needs transportation that they do. So,
we just don't have that luxury here in our area.
right, exactly. And so you need to think it out, if you're going to make merry with alcohol.
Yes.
All right. We got this word and we want to put it out. They ask us to say this on TV, Jennifer, because they think we're important. There is going to be, as you know, we have a lot of single family situations, troubled family situations, and behind the scenes, there is such a need for foster parents.
Okay.
More foster parents to give troubled kids who have a situation where, one or both parents are unavailable to them or they've lost their parents. They need to have at least temporary foster care. And there's going to be a foster care and adoption meeting because there's a need for both temporary foster care and adoption.
Okay.
There's going to be an informational meeting about this on January the 6th. That's a Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Jackson Assembly of God. That church is at 420 Ralph Street. If you got Rowdy's right there, you got Geiger Brothers. It's right next to Geiger Brothers, not far off the Main Street intersection there.
Kind of behind Foster Electric
you
there.
Make a turn onto Ralph Street off Main Street, and it will be right there on your right. You'll see it. But the church is going to be the place for that informational meeting. There will be multiple speakers, including a foster assessor. Foster and adoptive parents will be there to tell their story, and there will be a program representative tell you if you're interested in maybe being a foster parent or an adoptive parent, what you need to do. There will be an optional meet and greet for participants to ask questions or even sign up for the program. So once again, this is January. We'll remind you again before that date, but it's a foster care and adoption informational meeting at 6 p.m., January 6th at the Jackson Assembly of God at 420 Ralph Street.
Okay.
In Jackson.
Yeah, get there. That's awesome.
Right. All right. Okay. Now we've got to do some sports information. Last night at the Jackson High School Commons, Olivia Kennedy officially signed on to go to college and run track and cross country at Northern Kentucky University.
Yay, Olivia!
That's right across the river from Cincinnati, and that is a Division I school.
You go, girl.
So this is a great honor. This picture was taken by Red Thompson Jr. yesterday. If you're looking on your monitor there, we hope that you are. But there is Olivia seated at the table, second from the left, and that is actually as she's signing her letter of intent.
Love that.
Her parents are flanking her. Some of her high school coaches are behind her there. And so congratulations to Olivia. She, of course, qualified for the state track meet last year in the 800-meter run.
All that hard work has paid off, hasn't it?
Right. And she went to the state cross-country meet this year as a senior. Her senior year as a trackster still in front of her. And she is talented, but maybe even more important than her talent, she is a hard worker.
Oh, man.
A hard worker. The old bromide, hard work pays off. There is evidence there.
You're not kidding.
It happened for Olivia there. What a great Christmas present for her.
Yes.
Going into the holidays. And best wishes to her. We were able to interview her during a football game. Dan Morrow and I did. Just a delightful young lady. Also
She's
an outstanding student at Jackson High School as well. And so best wishes to her and some of her high school opportunities still in front of her as track season is this spring. Okay, as far as other sports goes, big game. There is a big game tonight at Oak Hill High School.
Okay.
For the first time since 2005, the Jackson Ironmen and the Oak Hill Oaks are going to play a varsity boys basketball game.
Love it.
Jackson and Oak Hill used to play regularly in some sports, including basketball, but it just does not happen for whatever reason for a long time. But they're going to play at least this year and next year, I presume. Next year's game would be at Jackson, but this year it'll be down at Oak Hill, and it will be on the radio, WKOV 96.7 FM, and Keith Davis and Brian Howe will be broadcasting that. So we invite you to tune into that going into the holidays. The Ironmen are coached by Max Morrow, and the Oak Hill Oaks are coached by Heath McInnes, and we salute the two head coaches and the respective athletic directors, Scott Lewis at Oak Hill and Pat Stevens at Jackson, for making this happen. I think, I know there's lots of issues to concern, when you schedule these athletic contests, but I think that local fans would like to see the local teams play each other if possible. And this is happening between Jackson and Oak Hill for basketball. All right, it's time to say Merry Christmas. And one way that we can say it is the Trinity Wesleyan Church of Oak Hill. Give that church credit. They had a live nativity scene last Saturday. And
So we have people waving at us.
Right. That's right. We have a lot of interest here in the studio. But anyway, a live nativity scene. And here you see a couple of shots from that. Pictures that Trevor Bailey took.
I love that.
Our staff reporter, Trevor Bailey, is actually a member of the church. And he took a couple pictures for us last Saturday. those are live figures there in the nativity scene, and Joseph and Mary and all the gang there that were there so many years ago on that Christmas night.
Correct.
And they had donkeys and everything there too.
It's
It was very
beautiful.
well attended, and it really sets down amongst all the hustle and bustle of Christmas what Christmas is supposed to be
For
about.
sure.
Right, exactly. Christmas, remember.
Yes.
Right, so congratulations to the Trinity Wesleyan Church for that. Also, the dogs at the Vinton County Dog Pound want to say Merry Christmas as well.
Oh, I can't even. That's the cutest
Is
thing
that
ever.
great right there?
Oh my gosh.
And they know the
Look
reason.
at the little baby one.
They know the reason for the season 2 up there, don't they?
Oh, that's the best.
And not only do they want to wish you a Merry Christmas and remind you about the reason for the season, this is their way of thanking each person who has shown compassion and generosity by donating to the pound, by
Yes.
adopting dogs. Because as you know, the local dog pounds or whatever, they don't run on a lot of money, dog licenses and all like that. And so they need caring people to step up to do adoptions, to help with operational costs, make material and financial donations, et cetera.
Absolutely.
And so the dogs at the Vinton County Dog Pound say Merry Christmas, and I hope that each of these dogs, I
man.
don't know whether they're in line for adoption or they have been adopted, but how could you not want a dog like that if you're looking for a pet?
My heart.
One of those, aren't those great looking dogs?
Hey, speaking of dog pounds, I want to give a shout out to
Yes.
Total Media's own Brittany Potter, who
Yes.
collected a lot of donations for the Jackson County Dog Pound, and she dropped those off yesterday.
Yes, thank you, Brittany, for spearheading that event. And a lot of donations went out there, and I know they're very appreciative of it.
Right, exactly. And, we do want to remind you, Jennifer, that our weekend paper, our Saturday paper, yes, it's dated Saturday, December 25, and yes, that's Christmas. But because of the holiday, the paper is actually coming out on Friday, the 24th.
Yes.
It'll have the Saturday date on it, but because of the holiday and because of when it needs to be printed and because there's no mail running, and that's how our paid subscribers get our print product, we're doing it a day ahead of time. So the paper will be finished actually later today, will be printed tonight, and look for it if you're a subscriber in the mail tomorrow. A
There you
local
go.
subscriber, at least here in Jackson, Vinton County, should receive same-day service, and then it'll be on the newsstands as well, too. So it'll look a little crazy if you're on the newsstands. Saturday, December 25, a day ahead of time.
We predicted the future, Pete.
Right. And since we've worked on this process, we'll do it again next week
There
because
you
of the
go.
New Year's Day holiday.
That's
So,
exactly right.
Jennifer, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
James
Pete.
Hamilton, Merry Christmas.
Yes. All of that. And, we've got to have James come over because he has to show off his shirt.
Got to show off my shirt.
Look,
Oh, my.
he's the Grinch.
Oh,
and wait, you
Wow,
got to turn
I've
around
never seen
too.
that before.
Because he's the Grinch coming and going.
Oh, my.
Isn't that hilarious?
Okay. Well, there's lots of people that think the Grinch is cute.
Yes.
Not menacing.
Yes,
Hey,
that's
I'm
right.
cute.
Yeah.
So, two things I want to say. We mentioned that today is Festivus.
Festivus.
So Festivus is a secular holiday celebrated on December 23rd as presented as an alternative to the pressures of commercialism of Christmas.
Love it.
It was created by the author Daniel O'Keefe. And Daniel O'Keefe, his son was also a writer. And his son got hired to write for a television series called Seinfeld.
Little tiny show called Seinfeld.
So he wrote an episode of Seinfeld called The Strike, which is all about George's family celebrating Festivus. And so the way that you celebrate Festivus...
Now you pay attention, Pete.
all right.
Okay, I'm learning.
You got it. Yeah.
So Festivus starts with the annual airing of the grievances.
There's not enough time in the
Yeah,
show.
well, we waited too long to get into the grievances. And then that is followed by feats of strength.
What?
And then the most important part of Festivus is labeling the easily explainable events of the day as Festivus miracles.
Festivus miracles.
We completed another episode of Main Street TV.
It's a Festivus miracle. We did it.
Yeah. And it is referred to as a Festivus for the rest of us.
There you go.
Christmas is not your jam. Here's
Festivus it is. Today's your day.
Today is your day if Christmas is not for you.
That's exactly right.
So happy Festivus, everyone.
Yes. Get out, celebrate.
All right. And so to end the show today,
Yes.
we were hoping that this person would be able to be here with us today, but we weren't able to make it happen, unfortunately.
Yes.
So Theodora Owen is a classically trained pianist
Yes.
that lives here in the Jackson area. She's incredibly talented. She has a really interesting story. Hopefully sometime she'll be able to come in and tell us more
Yeah, would
about
love that.
herself. But she is partnering with the Marquet to raise money to buy a piano for the Marquet. I think there's an old piano like in the gallery part, but it's not really up to stuff.
No, like a piano they can use.
Right. That they can use
Yes.
for performances and classes and things like that.
Yes.
So she had the idea of doing this like 12 days of Christmas, playing like a Christmas carol on the piano, the 12 days leading up to Christmas.
Sure.
Well, that was a bit too ambitious, so it's not going to quite be 12. But she's put together a few of these videos of her playing, her and some guests collaborating and playing some Christmas songs.
Love that.
And so we're going to watch one of those videos here in a second.
Okay.
I do want to, give myself a little bit of credit. I did recorded this video, and Kyle Fannin helped with the audio side of it. So I want to give a shout out to him. And before we go to this video, I just want to say Theodora will be performing at the Marquet on March 12th, 2022.
That's right.
So that'll give us an excuse to invite her back in a couple
Yay.
of months. Yeah. So
Showcase her talents.
yeah. So we will end the show with this. This is with some cheery Christmas music.
Love that.
And this is our last live show of the year.
It is.
Next week we will have some best of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Pete will have some news and he'll pop in a little bit, but it's mostly going to be those best of episodes.
That's right. And thank you for putting all that together,
welcome.
James,
You're
because
very welcome.
you're amazing.
Yeah. And then, so this video was shot at the Jackson Middle School on the stage. So,
Okay.
I guess without further ado, we can go to this.
That's right. One more thing I want to say. One more thing. Number one, Merry Christmas to all of you. Do not forget all Christmas music all day tomorrow and Christmas Day right here on the radio.
96.7 and 97.7.
That's right. So
on the radio and on the app.
All Christmas, all day for 2 days. And
Yep.
you can download that app. You can listen on your computer, however you want to listen.
Listen in your car.
Just enjoy. It's our Christmas gift to you.
We suggested that rather than the three of us trying to harmonize all day.
Yeah,
right?
Pete only knows how to sing Oklahoma, so.
So for your birthday, I looked and looked and looked to find that video of you singing Oklahoma, and I couldn't find it. So
thank
you're
you.
off the hook.
All right.
So you didn't make our best of.
We may have to have him do. We may have to do it
Why
again.
does it do it again?
He's
today.
like, I
Not
don't
today.
know about that.
Another time.
Our Christmas gift to you is none of us are going to
None
sing.
of us are going to sing.
I think we have some other better things lined up,
I
right?
think so.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's get to it. Have a Merry
Merry Christmas.
and a Happy New Year, everyone. And we'll see you on the other side.
And happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus.